So in this video I'm going to show you how you can use KoboToolbox and KoboCollect to collect data about dogs, so you can trial run these tools in the field and see if they work for you. So the first thing we need to do is open up KoboToolbox. So just going to Google search for KoboToolbox, open this first result. You're going to scroll all the way down here to find the login, and you're going to log in here under this category as opposed to this one. You're going to log in here. So I've already created an account for you, so I've just used a very simple username of PD, and the password is the same password that you use for your Program Dharma Gmail account. So we're logging into KoboToolbox here. So this is on my laptop, and you'll see that you have 2 projects already in here. Now each project contains a form and any data collected using that form. So let's open this first one. So this is a questionnaire form, and it collects numbers of dogs in certain categories. So the summary page just shows you the activity that's been going on, so you can see that I've done some dummy data for you today. If you go to the form tab, you can look at the form itself. You can look here at the preview, and then you can see what the questionnaire form looks like, but it actually makes a lot more sense if we look at this in the phone itself rather than here. And here we have a data tab, and it shows you the 7 dummy entries that I've already done, so you can see how the data looks, and we'll come back and look at that a little bit more in a sec. But what we're going to do now is open up KoboCollect on my Android phone, so you can see how I collected this dummy data. So here I am on my Android device, and we're going to download KoboCollect. Just type in KoboCollect. Now here it is on the top there, the blue and yellow rectangles. So we tap that app and install it, accept all the permissions. Okay, we're going to open up KoboCollect. The first thing that we need to do is set this up to work with our KoboToolbox account. So you're going to use the 3 dots in the top right to open the menu, then General Settings, then Server, and then you'll see here the URL address that we need to change. So we open up that URL. As a default, it will always open with this Kobo demouser name. You want to delete that and replace it with PD, which is your KoboToolbox username. Click OK, then just click back and back again. So now what we need to do, we don't have any forms in here yet, so we need to get some blank forms to fill in. So we click Get Blank Form, and here it's now looking in our PD KoboToolbox account, and it's found these 2 different forms. So we're going to get both of those, get selected. Those are now downloaded onto this device. And now we can start to complete a questionnaire form. So fill in blank form. We're going to pick up the second one, the numbers of dogs in categories, because I suspect this is the format that you'll want to use. So we're going to open that up. Always edit with KoboCollect. Okay, right, so interviewer name. Select the date. We then need to select the data. Let's use Sana Cow. One of the banjars within that data. We need our GPS, so you asked to start GeoPoint. Now it's starting to use the GPS locator on the device to get our GPS location. Takes a little while because I'm inside currently. Okay, and now it's telling us that it's got accuracy of a different number of meters. At any point you just click Save GeoPoint, and then we've got a lat long that we can use for mapping later on. Right, so it's then asked, is anybody home? Yes or no? Click yes. Useful to have that question in there because you want to know how many households you are not able to get data from. Then there's a consent statement. we can amend this. I've just used the consent statement that we used for the Doggerlog, and clearly we need a slightly different one if this is being used by DASAs, but we'll keep this old consent statement in there for now. Just click yes. Do you own any dogs? Yes. How many do you own? Let's put in 6. How many of your dogs have been vaccinated within the past 12 months? Stick in 2. How many of your dogs have been vaccinated against rabies, but this was longer than 12 months ago? Let's click in 1. And how many of your dogs have never been vaccinated against rabies? Let's click 3. Now, the next few questions, you might not want to include these. I've left them in for now, so you can decide whether they're useful or not. But if you're going to use this data to help the T2 find households later on, you might want to ask these questions. So you could invite them to become part of Program Dharma. If they want to join, you click yes. And then ask for the name of the head of the household so that the household can be found later on. You could put in their Program Dharma sticker number, anything you like. And potentially any description of the household location to help the T2s find the house later. And then swipe again. Sorry, I should have explained at the beginning. You swipe to the left to move it on to the next question. You can also swipe backwards to amend any questions that you filled in previously by swiping to the right. So just use swiping to the screen. And then you save the form and exit. And this can work offline. Once you've got the forms on your phone, you can then work offline. You can complete as many as you like. You can go in and edit them. So you can open, this is the one I've just completed. So you can go into any of these. You can go to the start of the survey and edit any one of these questions. Let's flip all the way to the end without editing. Save form and exit. And when you've completed all of your data collection and you're back with internet access, you then can send your finalised form. So you click on send, you'd select all of them and send them. Okay, so that's now been uploaded and that should now appear within our KoboToolbox account on the laptop. I'll just very quickly show you the other form sort of format, the questionnaire format that I've created. I'm not sure whether I just wanted to put an option in there so that the T2s can let us know what's the easiest way for them to work through a questionnaire. So this is the individual dog data. So the start is very similar with the dates, with the DASA and Banjar, with the GPS point. Asks if anyone is home, gives them a consent statement for them to agree with, asks if they have any dogs and how many. Let's stick in 4 this time. And then it has this thing called add new group, and that's basically a line for each dog. So if you want to add group, or this is basically adding a dog, so dog name can be anything, they just put a number if they want, just to keep track as they go through. And then it just asks the question of whether the dog is vaccinated or not. So we could say yes for this dog, slide to the left. Now we want to add another group. This is the second dog, this one was vaccinated in the last 12 months. Slide to the left, add another group. This is the third dog. This one also was vaccinated in the last 3 months. And then the fourth dog, let's say that one was not vaccinated. Okay, so now we've done all of the dogs in the household. We put do not add. It then has the same 3 questions. Would they like to join Program Dharma? And if you answer yes, it will then ask you to put in their name of the head of the household, their sticker number, and their location. Again, we only need to include those questions if they're going to be useful for the T2 to track their work later on or plan their work later on. Save form and exit, and then send finalised form. Tick and send. Okay, so now we'll go back to the KoboToolbox on the laptop to see this data as we've now been collected. Okay, so now we are back in KoboToolbox on the laptop and we are in the data tab, so we can have a look at how the data looks, and pretty much seconds after that data is sent from the device it should turn up here. So the data is presented in different forms here. So first of all, you can see it in this report format. So here we can see the number of submissions from each interviewer name. We can see the dates on which the data was submitted, the datas, the banjars, whether anyone was home. Here we have all 8 people obviously were, of this dummy data were recording as people being at home. We have the responses to the consent statement, a yes for all 8 again. And then we have, do you own any dogs? We can see here this is presented both in terms of frequency and percentage. So we have a 75% dog owning households in our dummy data. We have how many dogs do you own? It gives you the mean here. So they have an average of 4 dogs per household. And then it shows you the answer to these questions about vaccination status. Now, the way that this data is presented isn't totally useful in this summary, so we'll have to download the data in order to get vaccination coverage. I also want to show you that it gives you the data in a table, which allows you to open up any one of the submissions. So you can ask to open, you can edit it if any of this data is incorrect. You can also delete it if the submission is not a good one. So it gives you a lot more options to control the data that's submitted to you. It also gives you a map, so you can see the location of these 8 pieces of dummy data. If this map doesn't really work out so well for you, what you could do is use the download to create a CSV or a KML file, and you can use that just with Google Maps or Google Earth. So let's have a look at how the download works. I suggest that you use XLS Legacy, and that's because I find that if you export just as XLS, what you get is that sometimes the numerical data is presented as text instead of numbers, which makes analysis awkward. So all we need to do is click New Export, and then we will see, this is one that I exported earlier, this is a new export coming now. Just gives it a few seconds to create that data file. Okay, here it is. So we're going to open it up and look at it in Excel. Okay, so here's our 8 bits of dummy data. You can see it gives you the dates, the interviewer. This is the date that people enter on the device, the date of the banjar, and over here it says how many dogs do you own. So we can total up the number of dogs. We can also use the same formula to total up the number of dogs in the category of current vaccination, lapsed and unvaccinated. And then if we want to work out the coverage, we would just do just a simple number of dogs with current vaccination status divided by total dogs. And here we get 0.333. We can ask to present that as a percentage. So here is our 33% of our dog population has current vaccination coverage. I showed you on the device these extra questions around whether people want to be part of Program Dharma, the sticker number, any information that you've entered to help them find the household. So you could potentially give this a cut down version of this data, maybe chop out the unnecessary parts, but you could give a chopped down version of this Excel file to print it out to each T2 to allow them to see the number of dog owning households in their banjar, the names of those households, the PD sticker number, and how many dogs they owned of different vaccination categories when they were part of the mapping census. Okay, so I think that's probably enough on how KoboToolbox and KoboCollect work together to collect data. Let's see how that works in the field, whether this is a viable tool for you to use or not. Okay.